Welcome back to Collecting Cars. Now, we all love a Land Rover Defender for its go anywhere, do anything appeal. But what if go anywhere is Namibia, Botswana and Zimbabwe, and do anything is cross all three and camp in that vehicle? In which case, you need one of these, a custom Land Rover Defender 110 Adventure. This ultimate Defender is the work of a couple with a dream to create an adventure vehicle that would enable them to be totally self-sufficient whilst exploring the wilds of Africa. The base vehicle was a standard Defender 110 2.2 TDCi country station wagon. Nicknamed the Melvin and Moon build owing to the owner's admiration for the stylish South African luxury furniture brand of the same name, the first job was to send the Defender to Alu Cab in Cape Town for possibly the most significant of all upgrades, the fitting of the Alu Cab Icarus roof conversion, whereby the original roof was replaced with two-berth, in-roof, pop-up double bed, accessible from the inside of the vehicle, which is crucial when your campmates are lions and cheetahs. Now, right from the get-go, you can tell that this car is anything but standard, and there are so many upgrades to talk through. And we'll start at the front of the car, where we've got these huge meaty bull bars, and then in between that you've got this pair of spotlights which will illuminate anything in its path. And should you get stuck, unlikely in this thing though, there is a winch that's mounted here, and then you've got the attachment down here. Below the bull bars and the winch, there's added protection underneath for your steering so that you can't crash through anything if you go through a large boulder. So plenty of protection underneath there. And whilst this car has all this added gear on it, it's not just there for show, because if you are going to be driving across the wilds of Africa and the corrugated rutted roads, then you really do need upgraded suspension. This car has a long list of upgrades to the internals, as well as all the external things that I'm talking you through on the exterior. Moving round the side of the car then, it's got large off-road Goodrich all-terrain tyres. Underneath we can start to see how much travel there you've got in the suspension to keep you very comfortable when you go over these bumpy roads. Now, it's no good having a car like this and then an hour into your journey being so uncomfortable that you can't go any further. So this makes sure that you can take on long journeys in comfort over unforgiving grounds. Then of course we've got the side steps so that you can access anything up on the top of the roof if you should need to, any maintenance you need to do on your snorkel. So in here then we've got cables, electrics, whatever you want, but you can use that for storage of clothes or tools or whatever you should need. And then we've got these great lockers. Now there's one on this side and one on the other side, so I'll just pop these two open. And in here, this table can affix onto the side here for anything that you need to sort of cut up or what have you. And then you've got your tools in here. So we've actually got a machete up here, an axe, and then a saw. So if anything gets in your way that you can't overcome in the vehicle, you can just cut it down. So should that not be enough, you've also got a shovel on the top there so you can do any digging out if you do get stuck, and there are two recovery tracks mounted on the roof which I'll show you in a minute, which you can get to and then get underneath the wheels, dig out and get yourself out of all sorts of trouble. Now this is where it gets really tricky and really interesting. There's load going on at the back of the car. So starting with a double jerry can holder, and these are really cool because you can just pull this lever down here, pull this one up here, and it hydraulically takes itself back there. And you can do the same on this side with the spare tyre. So just pop that down there, lift that up, and that opens up and reveals a whole load of additional things. So from the left over this side, we've got our ladder, so we can just climb up here and then get on to see our solar panels up the top, and that's also where the racks are stored. So should you get stuck, you can climb on top, grab those and get those underneath the wheels and dig yourself out. A couple of other cool things to note at the back. We've got power here, so you can hook yourself up to mains power. Then we've got water tanks here, so you can have fresh water in there. And actually, hang on, I'll just pop that back in there and do that up. You've also underneath here, can you see this? Got your tap there, so you can pop a hose on there. You could add a little shower or what have you, but nice to have your little hose tap underneath. In here is where your barbecue goes, so you've got a barbecue mounted on the back, and that's why you've also got your gas canister there for your barbecue. We've also got a reversing camera or convoy camera, if that's what you want to use it for as well. And then down below we've got some other power there as well, additional LED lighting so you can properly sort of light yourself up. And of course you can run off the solar panels to run all your electricity off those, or if you can plug in, you're at a campsite or whether you can just simply latch it on in there. Now whilst this is set up to carry 2 jerry cans, the current owner actually used this as a log store, so you can have any configuration round on the back here, and normally you'd have a spare tyre mounted here in the middle, but what the owner did is move that over here to accommodate the 2 jerry cans. But he actually, I think, had those up on the roof or in the back of the car there, and then just use this as his log store. And the fun and the trickery doesn't stop at the back of the car, because around the side we've got another locker. This is the catering department this side. Open this up, and then in here, you can do this the other side as well, but I'm just showing you here, we can just latch this on, slides down here, like that, get that like that. And then you've got your table there to prepare your foods. You've got your plates up here, so you can have all your cutlery there, glasses and things. So you can imagine you're preparing your food here, glass of wine, barbecue's on, it's getting dark. You've even got a little light here, which you can turn on so you see what you're doing if you're cutting anything in the dark. It's really very, very well thought out. And then it simply slides out and packs away. It really is very simple. And in the back seat in here is, hang on if I can get it out. Look at this. Fridge freezer. So flip these open and then just pop that up, and then you've got your fridge and your freezer. There really is plenty of space in there so you can keep your food cold and your beers chilled. And what's great about it is it just slides back in very, very easily. And then locks in place as well, more importantly, so that it's not rattling around. You've even got some additional storage up there that just pops back on like that. I'm just getting a few spots of rain, so it's almost perfect timing to start thinking about this awning as well. And this is a 270-degree awning, so you'll see it in a minute, and it comes out all the way round the side of the car. So you get a huge amount of coverage from the sun or the elements.
Setting up camp is surprisingly quick, especially if you have a willing assistant. In no time at all, you can pop up the roof tent, pull out the massive shadow awning, set up your dining area, complete with fridge freezer, relax and enjoy a meal under the stars.
Right, so now that my stunt double has set everything out, we can sit back and relax and enjoy it. And of course, we've got this table and chairs out here underneath the awning, which protects you from the sunshine or the English summertime, perhaps if there's a few spots of rain, but it really does cover all the way round the back of the car. And then imagine this, you've sat out there, had your barbecue, had a few drinks, time for bed, and simply everything's set up round the back of the car. Open the door, there's your sleeping bag if you haven't already set it up, and then you pop in here, pop that flap up, and in I go. And here we are coming up through into the tent. And what's nice about this is that you access the tent from inside the car rather than a ladder on the outside, so you've got really good security, and you can then actually get into the cabin if you lift this up. I can show you that in a minute. But then in here it's really nice actually, because you can open all of these vents and they've got the mosquito netting, or you can close them up so it blackens out. And then we've got lighting, so there's LED lighting here, I think there's another one over here, and then of course you've got little reading lights for sort of bedtime stories as well. That's rather nice. But it's super, super comfortable. Lovely mattress in here. And as I say, there's just so much other little storage facilities kind of squirreled away. Then underneath the bed, you can access all the storage bins that are in the cab, or indeed the cab itself. And then of course I mentioned these drawers before. Now you can actually have these removed, and if you wanted to have the sort of cooking station on the inside rather than the outside of the vehicle, then you could do. So this whole box could be removed to any kind of configuration you want really, but the previous owners had these storage lockers here which are incredibly useful and tidy away very neatly underneath the double bed. Inside the driver cabin, it's pretty familiar for anyone who knows a Defender, except that we've got a few extra things here. So we've got some 12 volt charging points here, which is really useful. So there's 2 of those. And then we've got all our buttons for our interior lights, our LED lights, our spotlights. Obviously we've got a 6-speed manual gearbox, and then we've got our low and high range as well. And then we've got a VHF radio here, so if you do find yourself in an emergency situation, you're always in communication. Now, rather handily, we saw the solar panels on the roof earlier on, so you're completely self-sufficient when it comes to your power. And there's a little display unit down here, so you can tell exactly how much charge you've got left. In the rest of the cabin, we've got some really useful sort of storage space up above you here. Great big sun visors in front of you, and then we've got some handy little space here to put any bits and bobs that you might have, perhaps some maps and stuff, and then 3 big storage bins and a plug socket. As I said before, pretty standard setup here in the Land Rover Defender, so it's all very familiar. Handbrake down the side here, and away we go. Now this car's had a lot of upgrades to the suspension underneath, and that's because obviously you want to make sure that you're comfortable on the main roads as you are when you're hacking it across deserts or riverbeds in the outback. Particular attention has been paid to the suspension of this car to make sure that it could cope with the corrugations of the African dirt roads. Old Man Emu shocks were fitted all round, with custom twin shock systems being fitted to the rear axle, together with terra firma springs and integrated adjustable airbags. It really is very simple and comfortable to drive, and you have to remember that you're driving a high-sided vehicle, because as you go around the corners you can feel that extra weight and a bit of roll. But other than that, there's nothing to give away in the driving experience that you're driving anything different to a standard Defender, apart from most standard Defenders don't come with a VHF radio. It's also really useful that this thing's got a reversing camera, because you can't see anything behind you, so you've got to rely on these big mirrors and the camera when you're reversing in car parks or wherever you may be. Driving around in this though feels like I should be part of a support crew for Ewan McGregor's Long Way Round or something like that. I mean, it really is very, very, very cool, this thing. If you had a vehicle like this, where would you take it? What adventures would you go on? Let me know in the comments section below. The lovely thing about this is that wherever you go, whatever you get up to, you know you're not going to get stuck, and if you do, you're going to get out, because it's got so many tricks up its sleeve. You know, even if you're taking this up to the Lake District for a weekend, it'd certainly be the coolest thing in the campsite, that's for sure. And this particular car has provenance, because we know that it's been used as intended, properly, taken across Namibia, Botswana and Zimbabwe. So we know that all of these features have been meticulously thought out so that you can go on such tours. So in summary then, if you fancy yourself as a bit of a Bear Grylls and want to take off around the world, getting the right tool for the job is going to be crucial. And this ultimate Land Rover Defender will make sure you keep rolling on to the next adventure. This one's now live on collectingcars.com along with more than 100 photos and a full description. Thanks for watching and see you soon.